But the point is, these are vehicles for high-end owners, obviously appealing to different aspects of their lifestyles. So how would you compare their approach to design and performance?
Oh, it's very interesting. You had asked me about a surprise, and I was telling you about the Spectre's power, and they're power doors, by the way. So, you might think, oh, I have to lean way out here in the traffic. No, there's a button. So you press the button. Uh, but there was a fault in it, and that kind of surprised me because it limited some of the things I was able to do. So I had to switch to a different one at a certain point because the fault in the door was overriding a lot of the other functions. But another surprise I found was we're so used to all of the switch gear in our vehicles being lit up at night. It's one of those things that's on the checklist for us to check.
Yeah.
Because it does differ a little bit. There's still some vehicles where the cruise control is on a separate stock and it's not lit. But the Rolls-Royce had the cruise control on the steering wheel, and that was lit. And it had the power mirror control, was a cute little chrome stalk, and that had a lit base. And the power door lock, I believe that was on the dash, and it was, had a lighted function. The power windows, gorgeous chrome switches, no lights behind them, in them at all. And it was just a surprising thing. So what I thought was, okay, this Spectre has a fault, and I'm not gonna judge that based on that.
Yeah.
And so when I switched the others to the other Spectre,
Hmm.
it's power window switches, and the Spectre, even though it being a two-door, it has 4 power windows because it also has power windows for the rear door, not for the rear, for the rear windows, even though it doesn't have rear doors. And I thought, well, that's rather unusual. Now, later in the week, I did a checklist on the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, which is their new ultra luxury sport utility. And again, it had a lighted base around the power mirror switch. It had a lighted steering wheel control for the cruise controls and a lighted power door lock switch. But all of the power door locks, both on the driver's door, the set of 4, and on each passenger door, those switches weren't lit up. And it was I just thought it was unusual. It was something that at first I thought was either a fault, like in the original, and I over and over I think, am I doing something wrong? And so I turned on the headlights manually, and eventually I had that Cullinan, and I put the Cullinan in a closed room, and nope, all the other controls are, I mean, the thing lights up like a Christmas tree everywhere except for the power windows. It was unusual.
Hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things I guess we just take for granted. And, that's going to be there. It's going to be lit. So you glance down, you know where they are. But I think that would be kind of a distraction driving one of those at night, especially, the first week or two of ownership. You're looking, unless it's just all touch and feel, where, hey, you ought to know where they are anyhow. But yeah, just a little
Or
new
they just,
touch.
or like the engine compartment, they don't believe that their client would have many, good reasons to open the window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe they lit up the ones that are necessary while you're driving, like turning, you said like the side view mirrors and whatnot, but for safety especially, but you don't necessarily need to
yeah,
lower
that's
it.
what I was saying. You don't necessarily need to lower the window,
Yeah,
unless, of course, you've run out of Grey Poupon mustard.
well, that's true.
Yeah, but that's only in the back seat. You don't want to be getting Grey Poupon while you're driving. There's probably a safety sticker somewhere in the vehicle for that.
Well
Yeah,
said.
no
Um,
spreading mustard with a knife while you drive.
that's right. So each of these brands has their own DNA uniquely. Bentley's craftsmanship, totally different from Lamborghini's aggressive design. So how would you compare their design and appearance versus performance and, the type of owner that's looking for these different types of vehicles?
Oh yeah, I mean, back in the day, Rolls-Royce and Bentley were almost just a badge apart. And I guess the difference then, and a little bit of the difference now, was the Bentley driver had the tweed cap and the Rolls-Royce driver had the chauffeur. And it tends to look a little bit like that's sort of how the difference is today. I mean, we know when the big divide took place was when Rolls-Royce went up for sale, and BMW and Volkswagen Group were both vying for the control of the Rolls-Royce empire. And in the end, BMW won Rolls-Royce, but Volkswagen got Bentley as a compensation prize, consolation prize, I should say. And so at that point, although both had Germanic ownership, they they diverged quite a bit. And it was interesting because at the time, BMW got Rolls-Royce, and they were considered to have gotten the big prize. They also got all of the factories. Because like I said, before this, before BMW bought Rolls-Royce and Bentley, they were built in a lot of the same factories. So Rolls-Royce went to BMW with all of the hardware, all of the empire. Volkswagen got the Bentley, basically the name only. And so there is much more Porsche, Audi, Volkswagen, Lamborghini even DNA in the Bentley than there is BMW DNA in the Rolls-Royce. I mean, obviously there's loads of BMW DNA in the Rolls-Royce. I mean, the engines, for a matter of fact, completely BMW. Transmissions are shared, lots of other equipment and stuff, but the style, the factories, everything else, that was still made in Rolls-Royce factories by Rolls-Royce personnel. And so there's more difference now than there used to be. And it does break down to the Bentley being more sporty, more racy, and the Rolls-Royce being more stylish, more conservative. One of the cool things I saw, which was also inexplicable, I'd have to find out exactly how they got away with this, is, and they're famous for this, is each vent in the air conditioning system of a Rolls-Royce can be closed and opened with what they call an organ stop. It's just a chrome button that comes out, and you push it in to close it and pull it out to open the vent. And you would think, well, that looks like that would take your eye out. I'm sure there is a logical explanation, just like with the rear opening doors, how technology has made that so that's not an issue. So they can go back to doing that. Because, a long time ago, we went from protruding types of controls like that to flush controls for safety reasons. But Rolls-Royce, has those gorgeous chrome air conditioning vents and those big chrome organ stops just coming out of each one of them. And it's just, it's a beautiful thing to look at, but also it's so neat because my wife turns off her air conditioning vents a lot because she gets cold and she doesn't like a draft. And you got to push that little knob, and I can't see that it's closed when I switch sides with her. So, oh, why am I hot? Oh, that's it. But it's so obvious that it's either open or closed, and it's just like, it's just so little effort and so quickly doable to open and close the vents. It's just one of those little things.
Yeah, I mean, your wife and mine must talk, have the same issues. I'm just so sick of having to reach over and adjust these vents so it doesn't condense on the side window, on the passenger side, because she's got to divert it over there. But you're right. Sometimes simpler is better. And I agree with you. I like those things. You don't see many of those anymore on the domestics. You used to see them a lot. I would guess, in I don't know, maybe the early 90s or whatever, but they got away from them. And I just thought they were very practical, to your point.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you, and it really helps out.